silent invasion. Billions of baht gone, vanishing. Local businesses shuttered, completely blindsided.
Yeah, and you see these high-rise condos in Bangkok just sitting dark. They're assets in some foreign portfolio.
Meanwhile, young Thais are watching that dream, owning a home. It just slips further and further away. This isn't some conspiracy theory. This is happening.
Yep.
Now, welcome to Meridian. We're the channel that cuts through all that noise, diving deep into the stories really shaping our world.
And today, wow, we are plunging right into a real high-stakes economic thriller. It's playing out across Southeast Asia, but Thailand. Thailand's ground zero.
We're talking about the massive wave of Chinese business influence. It's a force that's literally reshaping entire economies.
And it's sparking some really fierce debate, leaving behind this trail of, well, both incredible opportunity and, frankly, some painful disruption.
Our mission here on this deep dive, lay out the core data, get into the clashing opinions, and figure out what it all means for the future of a nation caught in these currents.
Yeah, we've pulled from a whole stack of sources, detailed reports, sharp news analyses, even some exclusive intelligence briefings. We want to give you the unvarnished truth.
Because look, this isn't just business school stuff. This feels like a battle for sovereignty, for economic identity. You really need to hear this.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain. Our first big stop here reveals a pretty stark warning. Picture like a hidden hand, pulling strings, funneling huge amounts of capital.
Exactly. We're seeing this surge of Chinese money pouring into Thailand, but often through channels that are, well, murky is putting it mildly. They're using Thai nationals basically as proxies, as fronts.
And the numbers are, well, they're alarming.
They really are. Thai authorities, specifically the Central Investigation Bureau, the CIB, they've uncovered 857 illegal nominee entities so far.
And the damage?
The economic damage.
Estimated at $15.3 billion. That's roughly, what, $468 million US dollars? And this isn't just a guess. Between September 24 and January 25 alone, just a few months, they investigated 820 nominee cases. Losses topped $12.5 billion in that short period. It's systemic. Okay, here's where it gets really tangible, like boots on the ground. Think about a luxury condo project in Rayong. Big one. $2 billion, maybe $60 million. It was run entirely by Chinese nationals. But on paper, they used Thai proxies to completely get around Thailand's Foreign Business Act, the FBA, and the Land Code.
And that wasn't just a one-off, right?
No, not at all. It was the third big CIB nominee sweep.
They did similar busts in Phuket and Bangkok before this. This doesn't feel like just a few bad apples. It feels more like a planned buyout designed to skirt the laws meant to protect local industries.
And that pressure, that systemic pressure, it's not just in property. Look at e-commerce. It's hitting everyday businesses just as hard, maybe harder.
Temu.
Temu, yeah. The Chinese e-commerce giant launched in Thailand July 2024, and boom, immediate brutal price war. We're talking discounts up to 90%. Free shipping.
I remember reading an expert warning. It would basically, quote, bring Chinese products to Thai consumers without a middleman. Sounds good for consumers, maybe. Maybe in the very short term. But what about the tens of thousands of small Thai retailers, the SMEs?
They're already squeezed by Shopee and Lazada.
Exactly. Now they're facing this tidal wave of ultra-cheap imports. The Federation of Thai SMEs put out a warning. They said their members just cannot compete against what they called predatory pricing.
You hear these stories, right? Family businesses, generations old, suddenly fighting just to survive.
It's tough. Now, the Thai cabinet did react. They revoked the VAT exemption for low-value imports, anything under 1,500 bahts, starting July 5th, 2024.
Did it help?
It did lead to about a 20% drop in those low-quality imports, mostly from China. So, yes, some effect. But the damage to local businesses, the market share they lost, that's severe, and it's still playing out. It's like this forced, rapid, maybe brutal modernization of retail.
Okay, let's pivot to real estate, because this hits home literally for so many younger Thais.
Yeah, this is a big one. Chinese nationals have topped Thailand's foreign condo buyer list for 6 years straight. 6 years.
The numbers.
37,987 units since 2018, valued at $969 billion. That's huge. And just in 2023 alone, they bought 6,614 units. That was nearly half, almost 50% of all foreign condo purchases.
Wow. So what does that do to prices?
Predictably, it's led to surging condo prices. Bangkok, other popular spots. It just pushes home ownership further out of reach for young Thais trying to get on the ladder.
And rents, too. I heard about these new Chinatowns.
Oh, yeah. Places like Hua Kwang, Commercial rents there have apparently tripled. So it's this paradox, right? Foreign demand has kind of kept the property market afloat.
Propped it up during lean years.
Exactly. But at the same time, it creates this long-term social gap. You could end up with a renter nation for young Thais, changing the whole idea of home ownership.
And the government's response to this. They proposed extending land leases to 99 years and upping foreign condo quotas to 75%.
That's the proposal. And it immediately reignited this really fierce debate. Are we saving the nation or selling the nation? Critics jumped on it, pointing out the current ruling party actually opposed similar ideas not long ago. The irony isn't lost.
Okay, beyond property, there's this deeper worry, maybe more insidious, about financial sovereignty.
Right. These Chinese payment systems, Alipay, WeChat Pay, Union Pay, they're creating what some call closed-loop circuits, meaning the money flows directly from a Chinese payer, like a tourist, to a Chinese pay, like a shop owner, also from China, often with very little interaction with the local Thai banking system. Minimal oversight.
Which enables these $0 tours.
Exactly. It's a phenomenon that some estimate could be siphoning. Get this. 3 trillion. That's about 87 billion US dollars annually away from the Thai economy.
How does that even work?
By basically trapping tourists in Chinese-owned shops, restaurants, hotels, where the payments happen offshore, often through these apps, Thai businesses, the local economy, the tax authorities, they're left with just crumbs.
Yet officials must be worried about capital flight, money laundering.
Deeply concerned.
Yeah.
Because money paid through these Chinese apps outside the Thai system is incredibly hard to trace locally. It's like a massive leak in the national bucket.
Okay. That's a pretty bleak picture. A crisis, it seems.
It definitely looks like one side of the coin. But here's where the narrative starts to shift, or at least get more complicated. What if this isn't just a crisis? What if it's also a huge opportunity?
How so?
Well, the argument is the Thai government isn't just, running around putting out fires. They are actually implementing a pretty sophisticated two-pronged strategy to manage this huge influx of capital.
Two-pronged. Okay, like what?
Well, first, remember that Foreign Business Act, the FBA, we talked about? The cabinet approved a full-scale review of it back in April 2025.
And this isn't just minor tweaks.
No. It's presented as a strategic shift. The goal is to liberalize parts of the economy, maybe ease some forward ownership caps, simplify licensing. The stated aim is to attract high-quality foreign direct investment, FDI.
High quality. So not just any investment.
Exactly. It's a calculated risk, sure, but one they seem to believe will position Thailand better in the long run.
And is it working? Are they getting that high-quality investment?
Well, look at the tech sector. This isn't about cheap plastic toys. We're seeing major commitments. Chinese tech giants have pledged over 1.5 billion US dollars to build hyperscale data centers in Thailand.
Hyperscale data centers. That's serious infrastructure.
Absolutely. It's turning Thailand into a key battleground for cloud computing in Southeast Asia. This is foundational stuff for the digital economy.
And does the investment data back this up?
We're starting to see shifts. In the first quarter of 2025, investment pledges coming from Hong Kong, which is often a channel for Chinese funds, right, actually surpassed those from mainland China itself.
Interesting.
But the combined bloc, China plus Hong Kong, is still the largest source overall. And the key thing is the type of investment seems to be shifting towards these high-value tech sectors. It suggests a strategy. Let's filter for the kind of investment we really want.
Okay, what about e-commerce? You painted it as a destroyer earlier.
And it certainly has been disruptive. But there's another angle. It's also emerging as a pretty significant growth engine for some Thai SMEs.
How well nigh? By forcing them online.
Partly forcing them to modernize, yes. But these platforms, including the Chinese-backed ones, are opening up massive new sales channels. Channels these entrepreneurs maybe never had access to before.
Like TikTok Shop.
Exactly. TikTok Shop signed an agreement, NRU, with Thailand's Commerce Ministry in 2024. They pledged to train 7,000 Thai SMEs in digital sales. The goal is ambitious. Boost the SME contribution to GDP to 40% by 2027.
And are SMEs actually making more money?
There are reports. SMEs across Southeast Asia, not just Thailand, have reported boosting their income by nearly 50% from selling on TikTok. So yes, consumers win with cheaper goods, more choice. And that pressure forces local retailers to innovate, to get better. It's market evolution, even if it's painful for some.
Right. And the real estate surge. Any upside there beyond propping up the market?
Well, propping up the market during lean years wasn't insignificant. It probably prevented a much worse downturn. But beyond that, these massive Chinese-led real estate projects often bring urban renewal.
New infrastructure.
New malls, hotels, public spaces sometimes. And crucially, construction jobs, lots of them. Look at Malaysia. It's now the fourth most popular spot for wealthy Chinese home buyers. Partly thanks to programs like their Vivise Malaysia My Second Home, which actively targets quality investment. It shows you can manage this influx strategically. It doesn't have to be just a drain.
Okay, last point. Those payment systems, Alipay, WeChat Pay, you said they were creating closed loops, siphoning money.
Yeah.
But is there any benefit?
Increasingly, the view is that integration is actually a net benefit. Why? Tourists. It makes Chinese visitors feel comfortable spending money. They use the apps they know.
Makes sense. Easier payments, more spending.
Precisely. Malaysia saw cross-border e-wallet transactions by Chinese visitors jump 142% per quarter in 2024 using their do-it-now QR system linked to Chinese apps. Thailand's done something similar, linking its prompt pay QR system. It's about capturing that tourist spending, bringing it into the traceable, taxable economy rather than letting it stay offshore.
Okay, so we've heard the stark warnings, this potential silent invasion, local businesses getting crushed, a nation maybe being sold off piece by piece.
Scary stuff.
But then we have this counter-narrative. Unprecedented opportunity, high-tech modernization, strategic positioning for a global future. Here's the million-dollar question, maybe the trillion-baht question. Are these two realities even compatible? Or is Thailand inevitably heading towards one extreme or the other? I mean, when you look at that raw data on nominee firms, the billions disappearing, it really paints a picture of a nation losing control. It feels like more than just a few bad actors, doesn't it? Like you said earlier, a 5-alarm fire maybe being fought with a garden hose.
Look, you're right to flag the scale. It does feel like a fire sometimes.
Yeah.
But saying it's uncontrolled or that the government is simply losing the plot, I think that misses the strategic element, the nuance. I don't think it's chaos. I think we're seeing the birth, maybe a messy birth, of a modern, quite sophisticated regulatory policy playing out in real time.
Sophisticated.
Because for maybe the first time, the Thai government seems mature enough to, well, walk and chew gum simultaneously. They seem to be trying to surgically separate the value-adding FDI, the good stuff, from the parasitic gray capital, the bad stuff.
But hang on. How can you be surgical when you're also talking about loosening the very laws the FBA meant to protect the economy in the first place? A lot of people see that FBA review as just a giveaway, a path for politically connected mega projects. While ministers are talking up high tech, the SME Federation is practically begging for help because their members are getting wiped out right now. It's in this just frantic spin, trying to reclaim a narrative that's already run away.
I see why you'd say that, but consider this. Maybe it's precisely because the old laws were so full of loopholes that they encouraged those nominee structures you're rightly concerned about. By liberalizing certain aspects strategically, you potentially remove the incentive for those illicit gray activities. You force things into the open.
So lure the good, cut out the bad.
Kind of. You lure the billion-dollar data centers with clear, modern FBA rules. And at the same time, you excise the illegal nominee businesses with targeted, tough enforcement. It's not weakness or contradiction. It's intended as precision. It's signaling to the world. Thailand is open for serious, legitimate business, but it's closed for exploitation.
And the winners and losers in that scenario.
The winners. Legitimate global investors who understand the new rules. Maybe Thai consumers in some ways. The losers. Those local monopolies, perhaps, who were hiding behind the old protectionist walls and suddenly faced real competition, and maybe those who relied on the gray economy.
So cracking down hard on nominee firms while also easing foreign business rules.
Yes.
You're saying that's not a contradiction, but a calculated strategy. High wire act.
I think it's less a gamble and more a necessary evolution. The old system, while appearing protective on the surface, arguably fostered stagnation and enabled these illicit practices. This is about bringing investment into the light, making it transparent.
Even if it forces Thai entrepreneurs into like a race to the bottom or just out of business.
That's the incredibly difficult trade-off, isn't it? The process is undeniably painful for some sectors, for some businesses. But the argument is that the alternative, doing nothing, means continued economic stagnation and remaining vulnerable to that unchecked gray capital. This shift, however disruptive, aims for a more resilient, transparent, and ultimately stronger Thai economy. But it's definitely a shock to the system.
So where does this leave Thailand's future? This policy whiplash, this attempt to calibrate these huge forces, it must be creating massive uncertainty on the ground.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. A legitimate foreign investor wants to partner with a Thai firm, but now they face this risk. What if their potential partner gets caught up in the nominee crackdown? even if they're clean.
And vice versa for Thai businesses.
Exactly. They're caught right in the middle. On one side, the threat of hyper-competitive foreign platforms potentially wiping them out. On the other, the promise of a more open economy, which might also wipe them out if they can't adapt. It's creating this kind of wait-and-see paralysis among many local investors. The ripple effects are huge.
And politically, the Srettha government's whole economic plan seems to be riding on this.
Completely. If that FDA review ends up looking like a giveaway to foreigners with no clear benefit for ordinary Thais, the political backlash could be severe. But if the nominee crackdown fizzles out, looks like just political theater with no big fish prosecuted, well, then they lose all credibility on enforcement. The stakes are incredibly high.
And the winners and losers in all this turbulence.
It becomes pretty stark when you lay it out. Winners, definitely international law firms, consultants specializing in FBA compliance, big winners there. Owners of industrial land, perfect for those data centers. Thai consumers, at least in the short term, enjoying those rock-bottom e-commerce prices. And of course, the Chinese tech giants locking in their strategic foothold in ASEAN.
And the losers.
Equally clear, unfortunately. Many Thai SMEs, especially in retail and light manufacturing, traditional family businesses in city centers getting squeezed by rent hikes, and arguably the Thai tax base itself systematically eroded by all those gray market operations we talked about. It's a sharp divide.
So, what comes next? What should we be watching for?
There are a few key milestones coming up that will really tell us which way this is heading, which narrative is winning. First, keep an eye out for the FBA draft.
The actual proposed changes to the Foreign Business Act.
Exactly. When that first draft amendment gets released, that'll be the clearest signal yet of the government's real intentions. Which sectors are they opening up? Which are staying protected? That's expected maybe Q3 or Q4 of 2025.
Okay, what else?
Prosecutions. The first really high-profile asset seizures resulting from these nominee investigations, that will show if the crackdown is real, if it has teeth, or if it's just rhetoric. If we don't see significant action like that by, say, Q4 2025, it might signal they're losing momentum or will.
Makes sense. Actions speak louder than words.
And finally, the investment data. Keep watching the numbers from the BOI, Thailand's Board of Investment. The next couple of quarters, Q2 and Q3 data will be crucial. Are they still attracting that high-tech FDI? If yes, that supports the opportunity argument. If overall investment starts to drop off, well, that suggests the fears about instability might be winning out.
Right. So this rise of Chinese business influence in Thailand, definitely not a simple story, not neat. It's messy. It's evolving live right now.
Yeah, it's riddled with these contradictory forces, isn't it? The push for growth clashing with protecting sovereignty, the promise of modernization hitting up against the real pain of disruption.
It sounds like Thai policymakers are trying to manage a controlled burn, trying to harness the heat from all this Chinese capital without letting it just rage into a wildfire that consumes everything.
That's a good way to put it. And how they manage that balance, that incredibly delicate balance over the next few years, that's going to redefine Thailand's entire economic landscape, for better or potentially for worse. And the ripples will spread across all of Southeast Asia.
So we leave it with you, our listeners. What do you think? Is Thailand skillfully harnessing the dragon? Or is it slowly being consumed by it? The debate is fierce, and honestly, the outcome is still very much uncertain. For more deep dives just like this one, exploring the complex forces shaping our world, make sure you like this deep dive, subscribe to Meridian right here, and definitely hit that notification bell. That way you won't miss our next critical briefing.
Until then,
Stay informed, stay curious, and keep digging.
If you want more no-nonsense stories about power, money, and the systems behind them, subscribe to Meridian Channel.